Welcome to Conversations with Friends. My name is R.O. Smith, and this is a treasure of Point Loma Community Presbyterian Church. This is Jane Howard, and we're going to be chatting with her today. Conversations with Friends is a dialogue between culture and theology, and we believe that those two things do not oppose each other, but they are in conversation with one another in life. God is everywhere, and He is speaking everywhere and everything, whether it is labeled Christian or not. But this morning we are talking to Jane Howard. Jane, can I ask, how young are you?
I won't be 100 until February.
Okay, so we're pushing 100. That's so awesome. So you have a lot of things to say, so we're going to try to do it in a short amount of time. So tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up, and what is your faith background?
I grew up in upstate New York,
Okay.
on the Canadian border.
Okay.
My father was a lay leader in the Methodist church.
Okay, so you kind of grown up with church.
With church.
Okay.
And I lived in a very small town called Malone, and it had 2 bars in the town, and my father would not let me walk to church on the side that the bars were on.
Okay.
We always had to walk on the other side of the street.
So you're saying you grew up in a conservative Christian family. All right.
And I had to go to Sunday school, and then I had to go to church, and then I had to go back Sunday night to Epworth League.
Okay.
And I'd say to my father, am I going to spend the rest of my life going to the Methodist church?
Amazing.
And it paid off.
That's awesome. Yeah, I grew up in I became a Christian and went to a Southern Baptist church, and it was that same kind of deal. You had Sunday school, then service, and you came back for Sunday night Bible study, and then they had Wednesday night. Anyway, so what brought you to San Diego?
Jack was a military orthopedic surgeon, and
Jack was your husband, so everybody knows
my
that.
husband, and he retired in New England and went in practice in Newburyport, Massachusetts, in a town. They never had an orthopedic surgeon, and he'd been in the Navy for 20 years and was retired on the Constitution in Boston Harbor.
Okay.
With 20 years. He went to this charming town who'd never had an orthopedic surgeon, and he was just inundated with patients. And after a few months, he had an aneurysm on the brain. And we thought we'd lost him, but he survived and built up a huge practice and brought one of his residents in to join him.
So after the brain aneurysm, he was still able to practice.
He was
oh my
still
gosh, that's a
able
miracle.
to go back, and he had hundreds of patients, but he found that he could not spend the time with them that he wanted to. They had to be in and out in 15 minutes because there were so many.
So many, wow.
So after 7 years, he gave his practice to his resident, and he went back to work in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, as the orthopedic surgeon at the Air Force Base.
Okay.
And they sent us out here to a medical meeting, and we'd lived in San Diego for 5 years in the 50s, and we decided to come back, went to the Naval Hospital, and the CO was a friend we'd been in Italy with, and he put in papers and brought us back to San Diego.
And that was in 1984.
In 1984.
Four.
And Jack went back to Balboa as a teacher in the orthopedic department, and I just headed for the tennis court.
Yes, you are a huge tennis and golfer, I hear. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in just a second. So let's reverse a little bit. How did you meet Jack? Tell me that love story.
That song, you know, R.O., I think about that so long. When in this small town of Malone, every town, of course, has a senior prom. And we had a new girl in our class who had moved from Glens Falls to Malone with her father ran a grocery store. And she told us she was having her date come from college to her senior prom.
Okay.
Her date was Jack Howard, and he came from Poultney, Vermont, to go and take her to the prom. But I was going steady, so did not have an exchange with him. And one of my friends decided she wanted to go to college where she was, and she went off to Green Mountain Junior College. He never took her out, so she quit, and then she asked me to drive her down to see him in Glens Falls. I'd never driven anywhere but around the driveway.
Oh my gosh.
And I took off in her mother's car to drive down through the Adirondack.
How far was that? How far was it?
About 4 hours.
Oh my goodness.
And I'd never been anywhere but around the driveway.
Oh my goodness.
But she did not give up on Jack. She kept writing him after we went down and saw him there. And then the summer of '42, I went to work at a TB sanitarium near Saratoga, New York. And my friend asked me to call Jack and tell him that he owed her a letter. So I did that. He thanked me for calling, asked where I was, and the next night he called and said, would you go and have a Coke with me in Saratoga? And that was the beginning of this marathon marriage.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so he had no interest in that girl. He had interest in you.
He took me out, and before I came home from the sanitarium where I was working, he gave me his fraternity pin, and that was how we met. His coming to our senior prom in upstate New York.
Now, giving you the fraternity pin, is that like updating your relationship status on Facebook today, I'm guessing? I'm just kidding. So did
But anyway, and we went together 6 years before we were married. He went to Japan to do his internship and stuff, but we were married for 65 years.
Oh my gosh. When did you know in that 6 years he was it?
Dating other people, dating other men.
Oh, okay.
I kept going back to Jack. And he finally wrote me a letter from Japan, and he said, I'm coming home, and you know someday I'm going to ask you to marry me.
Oh my gosh.
And that was it.
And that was it. And that was it. And then when did Jack pass?
In 13.
In 2013. So it's been almost 10 years.
Almost.
Okay. 65 years, wow. So you've seen a lot of change. So you came to San Diego in '84, and how did you join Point Loma Community Presbyterian Church?
Well, we
How did you
went
and
there
Jack do that?
to several sermons, and we liked it. And then they said, if you wanted to join the church, to meet in the library with Bill McClellan, who was in charge of new members, and we lined up. Every chair was taken, and Bill McClellan said, stand up and tell who you are and why you're. And the first person that stood up was Gresham Bain, and
Dr. Gresham, the older Gresham.
he said, I'm Gresham Bain. And I stood up. It wasn't my turn, but I said, I have been looking for you ever since I came to San Diego.
And why
Your
was that?
mother was my best friend in Naples, Italy.
No way. Oh my, that is such a small world.
Isn't that a small?
That is
and
crazy.
Here we were in the same folding chairs, joining the Presbyterian Church.
Now, was her mother, so her mother wasn't, his mother wasn't at the church, right? Or
No,
okay.
she was in Virginia.
Oh, Virginia, okay. That's amazing.
And his mother just passed away.
Oh my gosh.
She was a fabulous artist, fabulous, but unfortunately had dementia for the last 20 years of her life.
So you and Dr. Gresham Bain were in new members class together, and
Yeah.
and
Elizabeth was then about 8, and my granddaughter that you met, and they grew up playing together.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And now, how many kids did you and Jack have?
We had 3 girls.
3 girls, and then they're spread out all about the.
One, 2 of them are the same age for 9 days. But they used to be 1, 2, and 3, but now they're 71, 72, and 73.
That's amazing. So, what would you say was there an event or a time that had the greatest impact on your faith, on your spiritual life? Is there something that when you think about your walk with Jesus and your life with living with Christ, like that had the most influence? Or
I go back over my life and how it has turned out, and the Lord has just taken care of me my whole life with such unusual things, like even finding Jack and Miriam, everything that I've had happen to me. It's because I'm walking with the Lord. And I can remember my father during the Depression offering me $1 if I would learn the 23rd Psalm. And for him to give me $1 during the Depression was big money.
Totally.
But the 23rd Psalm I learned first. The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. But then later I learned 121, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. And my help comes
from Him.
Yeah, that kind of summarizes.
So you had to memorize that passage. Was that?
Yeah,
would you say that
I got another $1.
Was that? Oh, you got $2.
I got one for the 23rd and one for I will lift up my.
Would you say those are your kind of like your life verses, or did you just memorize those?
I just memorized them.
What would you say your life kind of verse is, or The one that you kind of keep coming back to over and over.
The Lord is my shepherd.
Yeah, that first one.
The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. But I've had a great life. My driver's license is good until I'm 100, but my days are numbered.
Well, hopefully they're going to be numbered well beyond that, because there's a lot of people that are ready to go to this 100th birthday party. You invited the whole cafe service, didn't you? Or at least Carla. She's ready to go. So what would you say is like the greatest challenge in your faith that you had, that you kind of look back and you saw God? You saw God lead you through it, but you weren't sure at the time.
Well, Jack fell and broke his hip, and I was not able to take care of him. But then, after his hip was thing and brought him home, we, with the help of Gresham coming to see him, we were so blessed to be able to have him here at home until he went to his reward. And Gresham would come and see him and was with him when all three of the girls were here. But we have so much to be thankful for.
So you are I think we were talking about this. I think we think you're our oldest living member currently, and you are part of the cafe service. Have you always been part of the cafe service, which is kind of like geared to a younger crowd? But have you always been a part of that, or?
No, I haven't.
What attracted you to the cafe service?
You did, Aro. I love it.
You're just trying to be sweet. You're trying to sweeten me up. You're trying to sweeten me up.
You're sitting here, and I've got to say something really nice. I love the cafe service, and I love hearing you play and sing, and I like everything about it.
Oh.
And I used to go to the main service, but right now I just am so into the cafe service.
That's awesome. So besides me attract you, what keeps you there? I mean, what is it? Do you like the younger? Does it keep you young?
I love the younger people that are there, and it's a mixture of young and old.
Yeah.
But and I love seeing Mindy there with the kids and you and who's gonna play the piano that time.
Yeah.
And I love it when Gresh is on the drums.
That's awesome.
And I just like everything about it.
So we love having you. It's like so fun to see the diversity of age range.
I know.
So if you could kind of give one or two or five, whatever, pieces of advice to the younger generation, to those growing up, you've seen a lot of life. What would be kind of the words what would be things that you would want to encapsulate for all time to pass on to them?
I'm not very good at giving advice.
That's not a good advice. It's just a good piece of advice.
Yeah, just be nice to people. See what you can do to help, and just remember that you're walking with the Lord, and you would like them to do the same. My father would never let me out to play with my wild friends And we were smoking behind the barn at 7 years of age.
Whoa. Wait, what? You were smoking? Jane Howard.
Behind the barn.
Oh my God. Is this the same bar that your father would not let you? Jane Howard, this is opening up all sorts of new things for me.
But I have to say, I smoked when I was 7 behind the barn.
7.
And I've never smoked since.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, my mom said she took one puff of a cigarette and that was the last puff she
That
ever
was
took.
it.
7. How did you get a cigarette at 7? That's what the real.
Oh, we had a very wealthy family from Montreal, and they had cigars, cigarettes, and their son would bring the cigarettes and we'd go behind the barn. But my father would never let me leave until we read The Upper Room.
That's awesome.
And I'm still at almost 100 reading The Upper Room.
Yep. So you're
every
still
day.
You still have devotionals. You're still that's
Yeah.
so awesome. So we're going to close up with this, but you are very active. You've been playing tennis, golf, pickleball.
Yeah. No, I tried pickleball.
Oh, you tried pickleball. What's kept you active? Is it?
I played in the 90s in La Jolla and until I was 95. And it's such fun. I mean, I played on and off from the time I was in high school through 95 in La Jolla.
Man.
And I've been so lucky to be able to do that. And I won't say it's good, clean living, but I have been so fortunate to be able to do that. And I have so much to be thankful for.
Yeah. Well, you are truly an inspiration to. I'm like, if I look this good at 99, I'm like, sign me up. I'm there, and if I'm as active as you are, sign us up. I want whatever water you're drinking, whatever special formula you're drinking, pass it off to us because we need it. So.
You know, I have never had a drink, and my father was so against it. I told you I couldn't.
Yeah.
Walk on the side of the street with, but I've never had a drink, and I think I've never missed it. I've just had a great life and done it all on ice water.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, Jane, thank you so much for doing this for us, and you are an absolute treasure. It's been you're an inspiration, and like I said, I think it's such a beautiful thing for me personally to watch and see you be part of like the cafe service. That's such a testimony to me that it's not like this younger crowd over here, but as you said, it's truly intergenerational, and I see that happening not only in cafe, but it's also cool to see that even in the traditional service that there's young people starting to go there, and it's just like that's the church that we've kind of always dreamed of, and you're getting to kind of see it, and we're hopefully going to keep pushing it into that direction. And so I love it. I love it.
I like to think that you're a pushover. Oh,
oh, I'm a pushover. Oh, for
you're
sure.
a pushover.
I am a
and
pushover.
I'll be there for you.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you for joining us for Conversation with Friends. It's been a true joy of mine to chat with Jane. If you want to see this episode, you can go directly to our YouTube page. And if you want to see any other episode that we've done, or hymns or worship songs or past services, we have all sorts of stuff on our YouTube channel. You can go directly to our YouTube channel at Point Loma Church Online, and you can, while you're there, go ahead and like and subscribe and ring the bell so you can get notifications whenever we have something new. So thank you again, Jane, and we will see you guys next time.